What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday, or happy whatever day you're watching this. Hope you're having a good day in the market. In this video, I wanted to look over Indi Semiconductors, or Indi Stock. This is an extremely slept on stock, and when I first started this channel, this was one of the first main stocks that I talked about. And I want to say that I still have the same conviction I had all the way back then, if not even more so. They just released their earnings, and I do have a cut up edited version of their earnings call. I highly recommend you do all your own DD, and you can't develop high conviction unless you research it yourself. I can't give you high conviction in a stock. But let's get into this. Let's look at some numbers, and then let's check out the chart. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you like these videos. Definitely appreciate you guys. Don't forget to check out the links for some free cryptos, free stocks. Check out the Discord, it's free, and let's look at Indi. And I will leave the link down below for this, as well as a link to the cut up edited version of the earnings call. They definitely have some interesting questions in the Q&A at the end, and they do mention why they think they'll reach profitability in the middle of next year. But looking over some highlights, they posted 147% year over year and a 17% quarter over quarter revenue growth to a record $30 million. They expanded their non-GAAP gross margin to 50.4%, which is up 740 basis points or 7.4%, and 180 or 1.8% sequentially. They also guided their annualized run rate revenue to 132 million, with further gross margin into the 51% range from 50.4% that they just had here. And I think one huge thing is they updated their backlog to 4.3 million, which is up from 2.6 billion and 2 billion in 2020. They clearly, after they IPO'd, as mentioned in the earnings call, that is partly what gave them the chance to get in there with these OEMs. Just the fact that they IPO'd and became a public company. Also, their recent acquisitions throughout this year obviously contributed to their arsenal of products. And as said by the CEO Donald McClymont, Indi delivered record third quarter results driven by increasing demand for our differentiated auto tech portfolio, coupled with tenacious operational execution amid the challenging supply chain environment. And as a side note, guys, think about how good they're doing during these rough times for the supply chain, for the semiconductors, and also as in terms of stock price. Think about where this would be if we were actually in a bull market. This is such good news in my eyes, and there's so many slept on things in the earnings call in my opinion. They added a bunch of customers that use their products. They mentioned Rivian, they mentioned Neo. I am telling you, of all the stocks in the stock market, I have to say this is one of the most slept on stocks. Going on to say our highly innovative ADAS user experience and EV solutions are gaining design win momentum across leading tier 1s and global automotive OEMs. In fact, we're excited to announce that our backlog has grown to 4.3 billion, more than doubling from the level we initially outlined during our IPO launch less than 24 months ago. With recent program wins spanning radar, vision, advanced lighting, and wireless charging, Indi has never been better positioned to capitalize on our $27 billion annual serviceable market opportunity, sustainably outpace industry peers, and ultimately create extraordinary shareholder value. Going on to some business highlights, they commenced their volume production of the automotive industry's most integrated USB PD programmable controller power SoC. It's basically just a USB programmable controller. And one thing you have to consider with all these new vehicles, they all have screens, they all have more and more sensors. And Donald McClymont goes into that in full detail in the earnings call. But moving on, we've got Indi awarded LiDAR Solution of the Year by Autotech Breakthrough and LiDAR Development of the Year by AutoSense. They secured production orders for advanced lighting from 2 of the big 3 US car manufacturers. They extended their design footprint in multiple electric vehicle OEMs. Neo, for example. They captured the first computer vision program win at a leading tier 1. And looking at their outlook here, based on the depth of our new product pipeline, we plan to maintain outsized top-line growth while further expanding our gross margin over the planning horizon. And this was said by Indi's CFO Thomas Schiller. And specifically for the fourth quarter of 22, we anticipate sales growth to an approximately 132 million annualized run rate, with non-GAAP gross margin expansion into 51%, as I said earlier. Further, given strong order visibility, our demonstrated scalability, and planned operating expense leverage, we are on track to reach profitability in the second half of next year with narrowing losses. In the interim, representing key steps forward, realizing our 60% gross and 30% operating margin target model. And guys, I can't recommend enough that you actually listen to their earnings call, whether it's my shortened cut up version or whether it's the one on their investor relations website. I'll leave you both down below in the description, but you don't want to have to be spoon fed your own information. Listen to the earnings call. There's a lot of good information there. And looking at the chart, you'll see that this is when they were a SPAC, just trading right around $10. They announced the merger, we had a run up and then a pullback, typical of a SPAC merger. Now while this isn't anywhere near its previous highs, while just like a lot of small caps, this is quite beaten down from where it originally was, or where it was at its peak, you have to consider how this is doing now. I mean, this is nowhere near its May 11 lows, hasn't really come down there in months, and I think earnings is really what's been like keeping this company afloat. And honestly, with these great earnings, continued revenue growth, better and better gross margins, more and more proof that these semiconductors are actually very, very useful, seeing more and more auto manufacturers taking them on. Some of the top leading auto manufacturers using Indi's chips. But looking at the chart real quick, guys, I did want to show you that we have a pretty strong resistance here right at $9. We have hit this point a few times. I think a break of $9 can push us farther. Now, I would personally watch this green ascending support as well. It does kind of bounce off of it a few times here, so keep an eye on this ascending support. Now, I'm honestly uncertain where Wall Street wants to take this. Yes, they're unprofitable, but they did mention that they are going to reach profitability very soon. And while in this current environment, Wall Street doesn't want to touch anything that's unprofitable, I could see them giving this a little more support than the likes of some of these other small caps that have gave pretty good earnings, but just aren't profitable, aren't anywhere near profitability. I myself am still extremely impressed with Indi, and honestly, I wouldn't expect them to even be where they're at now. I'm extremely impressed, and I remain convicted in this one. I have no reason to sell this. I'm holding on to warrants for this one as well. The warrants expire in 2024, and upon exercising those warrants, you'd pay, I believe, $11.50 per share on top of the price of the warrant. So anything around above, you know, $13, $14, I'll be in the money on the warrants. And I honestly think those warrants will get me a lot of money, as well as the regular shares. I personally think even where Indi's at right now is worthy of a DCA. I wouldn't go all in right here knowing that it's kind of ran up over the last couple of days, but I honestly think even on the long term, anything under $10 is a steal for Indi, and looking back, we'll regret not loading up more. That's all I got for now, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. I highly recommend you look into Indi. I know it's definitely a slept on stock. This video probably isn't going to get very many views. It's a very small company. It is not a Neo. It's very slept on in the YouTube community. And honestly, that's fine with me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks as always, and take it easy.